Hello, Pomodoro number 8. I can't keep thinking that I went completely bad on the initial selection of how I was going to approach the problem. But it's okay, it doesn't matter. Because we can always refactor when one complete things, yeah? The main thing at the moment is to get things working. When things are working, even if they are horrible, if you have a good set of tests behind the work that you have been doing, you can always refactor. Refactor is a possibility. Okay, now, what we want to check is that there was not a strike before, yeah? You can see over here on the right hand side, that's the last one, the last frame, line 181 is go there. This one is basically this is the new frame. We have one frame which is two rolls, those ones. One frame that is the strike, and then one frame that is the one that we are dealing with right now. So let's gonna see what we have, what we can do over here. Taking into account what we have on the left hand side, lines 31, 32, and 37. Well, we know that we are always getting two rolls. Yeah. If if the second roll, so we are getting two rolls, first one and second one, which that's why not a frame. That's fine. If the second one is a 10, that is gonna fail. So the second one has to be a 10 and has to be a first roll. Okay, cool. That's fine. Then it will work. So the second one is a first roll and is a 10. So if it's a strike, then we just say, okay, this is not the last one, wasn't a frame, yeah? So we actually have to store that information already. So we go over here, say control as frame. We have that information. So if this is true, then we return false over here. And now, crossing our fingers, hey, passing, everything is working over there. So the only thing that is left, well, the only thing he says, after being shown wrong several times already, is getting this test passing. I have just remembered about the bonus strikes. We can deal with the bonus strikes in a second. Sorry, the bonus rolls at the end of the game, of the last frame. Hmm. The way this is gonna work is that we have a strike, and then the next two rollers can twice. The next two rollers can or cannot be in the next frame, but we will deal with that in a second. Because I think we are gonna start looking at frames as a concept. I just have this nagging thing on my mind that frames as a concept needs to exist. Which is fine. Do I want to go for it right now? We are not that far from being in that position. And I kept thinking that that has to be the way to go. There is all of this code that we have over here. This strike roll, this last frame spare, all this information that it just looks like we have gone into completely the wrong direction just because this morning I decided against using the frame concept. Yeah, I wanted to do something simpler. As it happens to be, introducing the frame concept will have it much simpler. Okay. How we introduce the frame concept right now? What will mean introducing the frame concept? So instead of raw information, we are gonna have a frame, which that frame will tell you if it's a strike frame or a spare frame. That will simplify a lot most of the code that we have over here. That will simplify most of the code that we have over here. I think that's the right way to go. I think we have gone down this rabbit hole for far too long. And the code is all of this is a bit complicated, and it's gonna be even get more complicated once we come over here. So let's introduce the concept of a frame. How we are gonna introduce the concept of a frame? I think For now, I'm gonna put it all on the same place, on the same file. Probably I will separate. Normally I will just separate into different files. Now, what is interesting about a frame? Just gonna see. Well, first we are creating when you create a frame, you are just passing a role, yeah? And we can have the score of that specific, the partial score of that specific frame. We can keep that information. So we're going to replicate some of the ideas that we have with game. So let's gonna start with this one. Okay, so we need a constructor, which doesn't have the cube constructor because okay, cool. We have first row. Oh, let's gonna come over here for a second. Let's gonna comment this one out again. Poor test. He's going in and out. But I think this is important, yeah? Oh, let's go to some of this. Let's gonna go to this for now. Beans, and this one therefore has to return an integer. But no, we are not in a modern language. Okay, that was unfair. That was unfair. We are not in a language that handles that everything is an expression, yeah? That's the right way to say it, because Ruby, for example, is aware as well 20 years old. And it's an expression-based language, so that's why you can do it. Isn't it? Yes, it is. Awesome. Single row actually works, yeah? A frame I'm just gonna modify slightly this one. Frame over here. Frame. You can have two rolls. So let's gonna pass 5 over here, and then roll, which is 1. So this should be 6. It's gonna fail because that second row doesn't exist. Okay. Fill for this. This will still be failing the test because we are not taking into account the sound. So this. Awesome. Now, what else we can talk about the frame? You remember all this that we did with is last frame spare? Well, that information can be part of the frame itself, yeah? That information can be here. So, just gonna add it over here. Let's start trying 5. Let's gonna convert this into a theory. Five, 1, false. We can change all this over here. Oops, no. Okay, everything passing. Now we can add very quickly 6, that's not a 6, 6 and 4, this one's only 2. And that one is gonna fail, yeah? Which is easy to handle. Yeah. Awesome. We can actually check as well if a frame considers itself a strike. It's going to be something relatively simple as well. So let's gonna create it. Okay, this one is gonna fail, of course. But if we come over here, oops, that's not what I want to do. That's the one. Interesting proposition of the way that I have just done it is that doesn't matter if the second roll is 0. Sorry, we have a 0 and a 10. The way I have just done it, that will not never be considered a strike. Yeah. Thus, there is that kind of becomes an emergent property of the other test that I have created. So the way that I have created the test, that's what it happens. Okay, so now we have frame. That was the gun of the Pomodoro. But now we have created a frame. And I think you can see how this is gonna go, yeah? The other thing that I want to do before we go out is that you need to know if a frame has been completed or not. Yeah. Something like this. Because this completed frame I'm not gonna do this one, we are gonna do it in the next Pomodoro, but to give you a basic idea. Also here, and we go this root. So, me and my fingers. Frame has second roll, for example, doesn't really matter. This one should be true. Because we need to know when we have to create a new frame, yeah? And this over here will give us that information. So I'm just gonna comment out for a second this. That was interesting. I've never seen it doing that before. Okay. Huh. Very interesting. I will deal with that later. But that's it for now. But I have a plan to simplify a lot what we were doing before on the game class. There were too many things over there. The fact that we didn't have the concept of a frame was actually hurting us right now. So we have tests that pass. We can start refactoring all these ideas out somehow, yeah? See you soon.